I'm sorry. You had to look at me and not knowing what I'm doing. Hi, Dave Burns, Copper Gardens. Going to do my 4th video of the day. This will be the only one you get to see because I made 3 bad ones. And this could be another one. We don't know yet. All right, what I'm doing today is a add-on to an existing project that it must have been 10 or so years ago that I did for a client. Delightful client in more ways than I can express on one single video. An artist in her own right, very clearly so. In fact, I was going to include this at the end of the video, but let me say right now, I hope she will allow me, and she's watching, to bring my camera to her home when I go to take these pieces down and video her chandelier. Her own, she made it chandelier. It's, oh my God, sensational. It's crazy cool. You'll have to see it to believe it. So this is only a teaser. I'm hoping she will let me take a look at it with you and with the camera. And just another part of the teaser is, I think, honestly, I've just thrown out a wild number. I don't think I would bid this project, her project, the chandelier, for less than about $70-some-odd thousand. The amount of time, work, thinking, and process that went into it is phenomenal. I'll stop there because we're really talking about another project today. So let me do this. Grab the camera. Bear with me because this is going to get some scratchy sounds as I move the camera around. This is low-budget YouTubing. Here's a photograph of the piece that pieces 3 that I made for her some time ago. Filled in with vertical garden to make a nice complementary, cohesive garden wall, obscuring a little bit of the neighbors' goings-on. And now, with new things that are happening next door, she wants to enhance and increase their the visual block. So, what an amazing process. She took a picture that was made not long after we put this in, and added on the picture hand-done drawings of where she wants to add some infill. Wow. Do you know how remarkable this is to get this kind of work this well done from a client that knows what she wants and helps me to get there with her together? So I won't brag too much more about this, but it's just over the top fantastic. Measurements are on here, more things than you can probably see with this little GoPro replica. This is a new one, by the way, called Dragon Touch. About 1/10 the price of a GoPro, and so far as I can see so far, I just bought it. It's as good, if not a little better, than that $300-400 GoPro that I've used for a decade or more. Now, getting off of that, they are giving me nothing, this company. I bought and paid for this thing. Here we are. Here's some leaves that go onto the project. Now, here's some tiny ones. They're way smaller than those that were on here before. In fact, I have one that she sent me. It was knocked off by a deer trying to entertain itself and chew up her garden, and it got knocked off, and I'm kind of happy about that because she sent it to me. And as interesting as this is not the kind of shape that I do every day. It's a little bit unusual. It's a fair amount of work, but it gives us such a remarkable amount of shape and an excuse to just keep doing wild and crazy stuff. So I'm happy to have that. Now, here you can see we've been working on it. I have about 50 or 60 made, and they have that same shape. They still need a stem put on the end. As I got to thinking about it and had that many made, I realized, you know what? We're going up to the outer reaches of this viney decorator separator piece. Why wouldn't the leaves be getting smaller? Well, you'll see here in a minute that I made that other number. I did make some smaller and some about the same size or a little larger than this. But I realized, you know what? I got to go a little smaller. We got to finish up at the ends of some of these stems, and these are some of her stems. Beautiful, aren't they? No, they're ugly as can be. They're in mid-process now. I cut them. This is just a sample for another project. This is too small. This would be just a grassy frond in a pond scheme kind of a thing. But I would hammer this together to bring it back into a full diameter, tapering, circular thingamajig, that's a technical term, and then I braze it. And this brazing is what you see here. The heat not only darkens it and makes it ugly as sin, but you have these lumpy bits and pieces that are just unavoidable. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I get lumpy pieces all the time. Plus, and I could actually get it a little bit cleaner, but I want to be sure to fill in that seam. And here's an example, another piece from I don't know what project, also years ago, and we'll end up with this bit of a seam that shows, partly because the brazing rod is not pure copper. You could weld with pure copper, but you can't braze with pure copper. So you get this silvery look, which has about 80% copper, so as we color it, it will go off so much like the copper that you won't see it. The other reason you won't see it, that's the B side. That's the side that the neighbors get to look at, and nobody else. So I don't worry about that at all. I've been doing that forever. And nobody's even said one word about it. But I just think it's nice to let customers and my few viewers know, my few million, I think it's a few million. Maybe it's 20 or 30. Okay, now, I talked about leaves. How do we cut them? Let me show you that really quickly. Oh, I didn't get a quick setup. Well, stick with me here. I'm going to just cut a leaf randomly. I'm going to see if we can do this out of a sheet of stock. This is a Beverly shear that I'm just going to show you. The beauty of this thing is that you can turn it as you're cutting, and it cuts beautifully clean. What a nice edge. And I'm approximating now very nearly the shape that I want for this project. So let's go ahead and see if we can make another whole leaf. I think we're going to get pretty darn close here. How about that? You'd think I made one before. But we need to put a vein in it, and we need to shape it. So let me show you a little bit of... Now, the edge, by the way, is a little random, a little rugged right now, and I don't care, because we're going to go to a belt sander and clean that up. That will be such a small problem once we get going here. It just won't matter. In fact, it'll disappear. Our veining device is a inexpensive thing from Harbor Freight, and I modified it tremendously. It had a hand crank and none of this other folder rod. The air cylinder that I put on it allows me to do this. So I can go in and out, stop and start, and add little veins where I need to on other projects. This one does not call for that. Also, I am able to, I got to literally kickstart this thing because the other motor died. Oops, that didn't work good. If you turn this thing the right way, Dave, it'll work better. There's the leaf. Now we're going to put a vein right down the center. But I want to have a little shape in it. There we go. Back at it again. I'm sorry. This camera died. I think the battery went dead on me just as I was ready to run a vein to a leaf. I shut down the leaf and lost that. But here's a quick shot. Hope you can hear me all right. Of a vein through a bead roller. It is an ordinary bead roller, but I added this air cylinder, changed the rollers to suit my needs, and powered it up with a gear reduction motor. And with just 1 foot plus of the foot and carefully guiding it through, I can get a nice little bead in the bottom, which is hard to see because I'm working with a piece of reused metal. It'll get colored and cleaned more later on. Let's see where we are here. This is a low-budget version of a YouTube video. But the next thing I need to do to get that reverse curve shape that we're looking for is to put it into my shrinker stretcher machine, which is sitting right here. And this is a very small leaf, so it's only take a couple of tries. And by the way, normally I would anneal soften this metal before doing this. But I'm a little bit of a hurry today to get a little bit of a video out to you all. And I'm kind of thinking like a dummy. In other words, normal. And trying to get this done, and I didn't anneal it. So it's a little harder metal now than normally. But it's moving. You can see that it's moving quite a little bit. Then we're going to go over to an air hammer. made locally here up in Nevada City, up on the ridge, if you know the territory, by a pretty clever fellow that has been making it for years and years and years and really knows what he's doing. So that's the next thing you're going to see. If you are curious about it, then send me a note and I'll connect you with this fellow. He's something close to a genius as far as metalworking goes. Here's my low budget operation here, but some days that's just what we need. We just want to get this thing done and show you a little bit of work. Here we go. This is a really quick shot. I was able to get out almost all of the ugly marks from the shrinker's pressure machine. The rest of those will come out with surface conditioning discs that I will be using momentarily or as the project moves on. And then we'll be able to clean it, clear back to bright, shiny metal, and get it all the way back to, there's the shiny metal, get it all the way back to this look. Now, mind you, this color, if I didn't mention it before, I'm sorry, but if this is a repeat, but this has got several years of age in a near seaside setting. It's not seaside, it's actually inland, a few miles, but a lot of Bay Area fog gets to roam over this thing. So that kind of a rich bronzy with a little bit of reddish tone, that's unique to where it sits in this world. The greens I applied originally, I put them on with a chemical, an artificial greening, and some of it went away and turned into this sort of a nice natural patina that I really like. And most clients do. Occasionally they want a green that stays green like the Statue of Liberty does, but that has to do with sitting in a different ocean for a different length of time. And all copper turns different colors in different lengths of time depending on their surroundings. I say all copper, that's a pretty big broad brush statement, but it's pretty close to being really, really accurate. It just takes on a life of its own. I have pieces, and now I've forgotten what all I said in the first clip, but I have pieces down in the Bahamas that are red, and they are really, really red, and that's what you get in certain regions of that ocean. Now, these will be some of the branches. They're brazed, ready for grinding and polishing. The beginnings of grinding and polishing is going on over there. That's the first stage of about 4 different operations of more refined finishing discs until we get all the way down to a surface conditioning disc that brings it back to very nearly shiny copper. It won't go quite to that sheen of a clean piece of tubing or flat sheet, but that's good because we need to get a bit of tooth, a bite, if you will, into the material so that when we do apply the chemicals, they'll get a hold of it and they'll do all that we want them to at about $100 a gallon for all of that stuff. You can see my little kitchen over there with about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them over there. 2 more. I got about a dozen or so chemicals over there, and sometimes we make up our own. A little sidebar note, if any of you are aware of the artistry in architecture of Frank Lloyd Wright, every project as he began it had a latrine dug nearby. There were not an awful lot of women those days in those projects, so it wasn't unusual to have a guy just to go to the bathroom outdoors in an area where nobody's looking and they do go pee. Big deal. But he had them pee in a trench full of rocks. The sun would come up, heat up the rocks, heat up the urine, and turn it into uric acid. It would come up through the rocks, and the coppersmiths of the time were told, not asked to, they were told, as they finished a piece, a chandelier, a light, a decorative piece, a vase, anything, go put it on the rocks. And over the duration of the project, you would get the color that you now see in any Frank Lloyd Wright home or other project where there is copper in use. And he used a lot of copper. So don't touch it. After a few decades, it's absolutely safe and not a problem. But that's a fact. That's the way it was done. Okay, let me look over my quick list here. I think we've talked about the branches. The color is going to come on later. I told you we're going to try to look at her chandelier later. So I think we've done enough to bore you, to entertain you as much as we can today. And again, if you have questions about what I do and how I do it, I don't mind answering them. I've got to make it a little bit short. I can't give you an entire class day, which, by the way, we do teach this on occasion to people who really want to learn more and spend some time and some money. They're not free. I can't give it away, but we try to give away so much information in a class day that you will find it to be worthwhile. So that's just another teaser. I hope you found something here to your liking, and see you again back here at Copper Gardens. Take care.